Okay, okay, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is. I hope it's good to be where you are because it is certainly good to be here. My name is Baltimore Fats and this is Mud City. Yeah, nailed it. Okay, hello everyone. I hope everybody's doing well today. Gonna see how this one goes. I have a timer set. Not the way I originally wanted to present this one, but I have to get something out. So, of course, this is the Baltimore Trust Building, which was a feature, part 3 of my Walking Delusional series. And I want to thank everyone for their unbelievable response to those videos. All the helpful comments and leads and things of that nature that came out of that it's amazing to me, and I'm so grateful. And this was originally going to be me going over a lot of those comments, and I am going to, and I do bring up a couple in this one. I think a couple are going to come up. But this little section has been on my mind a lot, so I'm just going to kind of dive into this. And I owe a little bit of this to Flat Earth British, although I don't pay attention to his content anymore. I mean, and those who've seen some of my videos will understand why. I still subbed. I haven't unsubbed him or anything like that, right? So I get the notifications for his videos, and he did one recently, and and I don't remember the exact wording of it, but just in the title, I've been sitting on this idea in Mud City pretty much since the beginning. It came to me, wandering around that first day when I went to Fort McHenry and walked Locust Point. This idea has been in my head, and I've been, incubating it, try to bring in a new word today instead of coalesce. I've been incubating it. And that's an interesting word given the topic of this video. Hoping that I would get to that point where I would come across something that would really get those juices flowing. I got the juice today, folks. I've been sitting on that for 2 days too. Good Lord. So in his video, in the topic of his video, he said something about how, and I'm not going to look it up, how, immigrants weren't coming to America. They were leaving from here. And damn it, if that isn't what I've been thinking for months, right? And I'm gonna go into more detail in another video. This is gonna be, I guess I'll call this part 1, although I'm not gonna record them all at the same time. This will be part 1 of a longer thing. But this walking tour really brought it home, and especially, this walking delusional, especially the Baltimore Trust Building and all the fertility imagery that is on this building. And not to get too juvenile or anything here, but look what this building looks like. With its golden head. And who says antennas only receive? Maybe this thing is spewing out into the universe, adult content. I'm gonna have to put that in the description, I guess. But and so I'm gonna get up on, and there's this big phallus going right up into the sky of Baltimore, and we're gonna go to the door. We're gonna go to the door. Now, I have a friend, Trading Vibrations is his channel name, or how he comments, and he mentioned how these spiral look like ovaries, right? And then look at the chevron penetrating, right? What's in the chevron? Oh, I got a better picture than this. Let's we got grapes and everything inside. My response time is killing me today. We got seed going in to the spiral ovaries, right? Right on the side of this giant phallus. And in the figures, which I'm going to get into. Again, I'm going to do way more about this in another video because I wanted to do another sort of like walking tour and talk about the immigrants and stuff, right? And so I'm going to get more, but this is what really said, okay, it's time to do that. And again, this is why there are no coincidences. And I, I didn't share this stuff really openly. I mean, I did drop hints along the way. I'm sure of it because, but it was just interesting that shortly after I did my walking delusion, maybe even the same day it was. I don't remember if it was the same day that he did his chat where he talks about the immigrants leaving America or something. It said something to that effect on the chat title. And so, it was just interesting that day, that it really came, or, it actually came to me a few days because it took me forever to get that edit done on that video. That he put that out there because I knew it was time. I knew the time had come. I found all the fertility stuff, and I'd also been thinking about it with the Colored Orphan Asylum video. That information as well was really sort of driving it home. And so one of the things I've been talking about forever since the freaking first video is the warehouses, the red brick warehouses, and how a lot of them are breweries and things like this. So I decided to do a walking tour of some of the warehouses and how I'm going to get to a map as well. Oh, so anyway, yeah, I'll start with the map and bring it back. And I'm going to bring, I hope I have it up. I hope it's up. These warehouses and stuff. I was thinking about the warehouses and what some of their purposes could have been. And, and I wanted, and somebody mentioned, it was a new name to me. So I'm sorry I don't have it off the top of my head. But or maybe it was, see, if I say a name and then I get it wrong, I feel dumb. So I don't want to do that. But somebody pointed out the 1822 could have been part of the 1822 city plan about them rebuilding the city, and that's very interesting. I'm going to go over that. I have the city plan from 1822, and I'll do that in the other presentation. But so anyway, so just to put the brass tacks to it, the idea is that Baltimore was using these warehouses as breeding facilities, and they were breeding populations for all kinds of purposes. I think if you want to follow the the vampiric serpenty parasite kind of angle, then they were breeding them for food, among other things. But they were also breeding populations to insert across the globe. And so I always just would think that and this may be the map that the idea really first struck with me, because I remember going back that first tour, I was like, oh, I've got this presentation, I'm going to do a map, so I'm going to do this map presentation. And although I have used these maps, I never really did like the map presentation, which this is not that either. But this would have been part of it if I ever did that or do that. And we're going to talk about some of these warehouses because these black buildings here are giant warehouses. And I made that connection, and I'll show you how I made that connection in a little bit. But these are right along the waterfront here. These are where the trains would come, and they would ship out or bring stuff in, right? And that's what made me think, how difficult would it be to just, use these warehouse compounds? And I think I have a great shot somewhere of Fort McHenry in here. Let's look at it real quick. I'm going to get to that. I don't know when this map was from, but look at all these warehouses and buildings, and you can see, I'm going to bring up Fort McHenry on the Google Earth, and you can see the remnants where some of these buildings stood, all right? So it's just compounds, right? You have your breeding facilities, and you raise these kids to a certain age. Maybe perhaps you teach them only German, or perhaps you have Irish and Gaelic accented, or the Gaelic language or Irish accented people, because it's the Irish and the Germans that, invade America in huge numbers in the mid 1800s, right? And then you get, there's Polish and some others as well, of course, there's a wide variety, but, in the narrative, they stress the Irish and the German, migration of the mid 1800s. So bang, you have all these warehouses. You teach them German or whatever, right? You put them on a boat, a boat in the harbor. Did I go back too far? No, this is it. You put them on a boat. You sail them out. You bring it. You sail them around the Atlantic for a few days. Maybe you drop them off on Ellis Island. Welcome to America. And or you do, or they did the same thing in New York, right? Because I'm sure there are lots of warehouses in New York, northern New Jersey area, right? You raise a bunch of people in some warehouses, you put them to work. They have, all this child labor history. In Baltimore Museum of Industry has a huge section sort of dedicated to that. And, so very interesting, that they could have just been, they just take a couple pictures of that, they stick it in the narrative, but none of those kids spoke English or whatever. They were the German immigrants who were coming, and and again, so many were quote unquote orphans and things like this, and so when I think about, so seeing all that fertility imagery, and especially connected to the vine, and knowing that, and let's get to the internet now, and knowing that all these early settlers that came here to Maryland and Virginia, what were they? They were planters. And what could they have been planting? Well, they could have been planted people. You want to find out where the people came from. They were being manufactured just like everything else, right? That's the way, Mud City's telling it, to me. And so I wanted to use as an example, like these warehouses when I was putting this together. These are the warehouses at the foot. And I did mention this in my House on a Hill video, right? This is where the barrister lived, right? Where is his house? There's a baseball field, right? Baseball diamond. Oh, it's right under the name. That's why I can't see it. He lived here in this house, He was an evil SOB. And, he was part of the whole, creation of the American Revolution myth. And he was good friends with King George, and the Hanovers, who, I'm guessing were really Tudors in disguise. And so I mentioned these warehouses down here in that video briefly. And so I thought it would be great to start with them in my tour. But, I didn't take any pictures, and I was going to do like a whole Google Earth thing, which I am going to do now. We're going to take this tour with me, but it's just not going to start here. But this made me think, these could just be, people plantations. Why not? Why not? And so let's bring it out. Where do I want to go? We're going to go down by M&T Bank Stadium. And this is the walk that I take most days. That little building that I mentioned that I felt was new construction that was made to sort of disguise so it would be this building here. This is the one. And the warehouse is gone. So this is that building. So this is a walk I take every day, and there's a lot of warehouses, and we're going to focus in on a couple of them down right along in here and along this stretch here. And just for fun, because I went and I took a walk the other day, and I decided, and I was thinking about those warehouses, and so this is a giant, just box warehouse. That thing's been there forever. Recently refurbished. If I wanted to find pictures of it from the 1800s, I'm sure I could. But one thing, I just want to demonstrate the length of some of these warehouses. And these are incomplete now. I mean, these are all changed. Who knows the original size of them? This is a long street here, right? Let's see. And this is the other side of it. And this has a great front face, which I go and look at. Just to give you an idea of how long it is. And here's the I love the front of this. All right, and here's your 3, just like in the churches and stuff. And you do get the magnetic. There it is, right? The magnetic signature is definitely in this brick as well. And I should get a compass. You know, that idea has been put forth. I should get a compass and walk up to these buildings. That is a great idea. But I just, you know, the look of it is amazing. And I do go to one of my special buildings when this was one of those, you know, and I mentioned there was a building in Federal Hill that was like my first love, but maybe this other one coming up in a minute might be, because when the intrepid Mr. X was a baby and he used to require walks, and I used to, you know, you put him in the stroller and walk him around, I would always go to a building that's behind this. Look at this ironwork right here, right? Nice fleur-de-lis kind of thing. And I also want to highlight how secure this building is today. And it was like this when I used to, but I was always mesmerized by this building, and I would take the professor, the intrepid Mr. X, to you know, on my walks around, and I would always stop and stare at this building, and look at how fortified it is with all this. And today it sells like weird junk and recovered stuff. But I love this building, and you know, the building made a whole lot more sense to me after discovery of the mud flood and everything too. But after you know, after Mr. X got to be of a certain age and we stopped going on those types of walks, this building kind of fell out of memory, is the wrong phrase, but you know, it just went into the back of my mind, you know. But I love it, and there's something that, and this is what's going to spur on further interest in, you know, my bringing up the population aspect of it before presenting the fertility show. And there's one of these. This is a historic Gwynns Fall Trail, right? This is on, and so I'm going to read this to you a little bit. All right, this area of Baltimore, known as Carroll Camden, was one of the city's earliest industrial districts. Starting in the 1800s, it served as the home of the gas lighting industry, breweries, and manufacturers of dredging equipment, which I think is really interesting, and pianos, which is also interesting, you know, tying in the music. And, you know, pianos, you could, if you know, just thinking laterally, could mean organs as well. Baltimore was an early leader in the use of gas made from coal for street lights and for other purposes before natural gas replaced it in the mid-1900s. The Elliott Machine Corporation began in 1885, and now a part of Baltimore Dredges, still produces equipment used in waterways around the world. The Bauerschmidt Brewery and Mar Malt House operated here until the early 1900s. The Nabe Piano Complex employed hundreds until it moved away in 1929. And this is a great sentence here. Efforts are underway to redevelop this area. Sure they are. This building is interesting because, and I'm going to show you, this is a big neighborhood they attribute this stuff to. And it's hard to tell which building is which. I don't know. So this is the piano company, right? Its site is now part of the Camden Yards Stadium complex, which is interesting to me. You know, I used to look at Camden Yards, that giant warehouse, and we're gonna look at Camden Yards in this. That giant warehouse always captivated me, and you know, there allegedly are construction photos of it. But this structure is massive, massive structure. It would have been, you know, right part of Camden Yards, you know, and we're going to I'll show on the map again, is right at the heart. There's so much train activity and things like that there. So, I mean, here's a nice, I don't know what's going on in this picture here, but they got all kinds of building supplies and stuff and barrels, and, you know. But it's interesting they have all this stuff outside, but I don't see, like, maybe unless it's behind, I don't see like a loading dock. I just see, you know, doors with steps. And this building just doesn't, there's things about it that don't, like, add up to me. I don't know. Bayard Street Station, so I guess this was a gasworks, right? It was part of the Chesapeake Gasworks, you know, in the late 1800s. Electric poles lean. But the gas streetlight remains upright after a snowstorm in 1911. Do we actually have a smoking guy? Nope. Looks like his hands are in his pocket. 1911, all these, they were wiring things up pretty good. All right, so let's get back to, I was like, where is Camden Yards? Camden Yards is right over here, right? And this is a Camden Yards warehouse, which looks like looks like I went away from it. So I went looking for construction photos of it, and I guess I don't need to make it the focus today. I'll do another one about Camden Yards, but I wanted to show that, and they mentioned that Camden Yards was built in 1899 to 1905 is the construction. This is a long warehouse, and I wish it was still up. Because there's a great shot of it coming in from the harbor. It just is a massive, massive warehouse. And see, I wonder if this is part of this is the front of that other building. We might have to go street level. Oh, maybe it is. Let's take a look. No. But, I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility, I guess, right? I wish I could do like a split screen. I have to figure out that technology. Better one. Better one. Better two. I want to see the ratio from the top here. Because they're gonna, I don't know what, sorry to fall quiet on you guys, thinking, this is new, this is the first time I'm making this connection, that's for sure. Very interesting. This could be, they could have totally modified that building. I don't know. I do not know. But anyway, so this is getting, I'm getting off track now. So I'm going along all these, I'm going to start going along these warehouses, and I just wanted to give you the size and shape, so and give you, that's the basic idea, that that these warehouses were, baby making facilities, and Baltimore, along with its beer and everything else, was cranking out videos. And I'm going to bring, I tried, I always get false starts, I bet, on average, it takes like third or fourth go is the take that I usually use, right? And I was doing I had a false start with this one, and I don't know, I messed up the Google Earth, and it went somewhere strange. I'm going to drop that in here somewhere. I'm going to do it, or maybe I'll drop it in at the end, so you can see what happened, because I am going to make connections with all the Greek and Roman mythology that was in there, and all the great comments that I got. I'm going to go into all of that in part 2 or 3, or however many this one's going to go. So where was the warehouse one? So just going along. Sorry, guys. So, oh, right, the name of this is Gas Dredges, Beer, and Pianos. All right, and did it talk about, see, well, they talk about the number of immigrants, right? And so that's what I started to, it starts here with it, and looking into like the immigrants, right? It says, was a major employer of German immigrants. And so I was like, well, All right, they talk about the influx, hundreds of thousands of Germans coming over in the 1800s. So I was like, I wanted to find out, well, how many people were actually in Germany in the 1800s, right? And so right here, the narrative, as I said, they're pitching the Irish and the German immigration, right? And just even the top of this, this wave of immigration affected almost every city and almost every person in America. From 1820 to 1870, over 7.5 million immigrants came to the United States, more than the entire population of the country in 1810, right? So the population doubled with immigrants, quote unquote, in 50 years, which is crazy, right? And so let's go ahead to this one. My computer will move. Right, the rise of American industry. What if the industry was actually the creation of the people who were going to work there too? You know, going full circle with it, right? So this I thought was interesting, right? In the middle half of the 19th century, more than one half of the population of Ireland emigrated to the United States. So did an equal number of Germans. Pardon me. So, what? More than half the population, pardon me, over the population of Ireland. And so I was like, well, what the heck was the population of Ireland? You know, how many people were in Ireland? And let's see, I bring up, all right, so there are no reliable population figures for Ireland before 1841. However, estimates have been carried as far back as 1700. These figures show Ireland's population rose slowly from around 3 million in 1700 until the last half of the 18th century when it reached 4 million. So it took 100 years to get 25%, right, increase. So the increase in the population was not smooth during this, not as smooth as the whiskey, right? Having reached 3.25 million by 1740, then the famine at that time wiped out 400,000, or about 1 in every 8. The population then continued to increase until it reached 4 million by 1800. It says, then it entered a rapid growth increase, which appeared to have slowed to just over 0.5% by 1830. By 1841, the population was 8.2. So somewhere between 1840 and 1870, 4 million Irishmen or women came over here. Okay, half. But they said the famine was before. I mean, I didn't go researching the famine. I mean, was there a second wave of it? You know. And this is interesting. It says the following graph shows Ireland's population since 1100. Right, but since 1100, didn't they say it didn't have any reliable estimates going back to 1700? The Black Death, 1400. The Cromwellian War. We got famine. Oh, here's another famine. Right at that time, bang. Now, did the famine cause half of that strike, or did they all go to America? What is it? Is it the famine, or is it America? Interesting, you know? Or did they show up in New York from Baltimore? I just love that idea. You know, interesting, right? And then, let's see, the Germans. All right, over 100,000 Germans immigrated to the English colonies in North America. Most of them settled in Pennsylvania, all right? And they're talking about the 1600s, 100,000 Germans in the 1600s. They were Mennonites, and, you know, I know all of this is because when I really get into the religion, and I'm going to, because it all ties into the religions, of course, you know, we have Mennonites and all the weird Quaker stuff. The Quaker stuff is going to get huge. This is an interesting story here. I'm not going to go over it now, but I'll try to remember to link this article. You know, some interesting stuff in here, but there was more with this census, is what I really wanted to get to. Then I think I can wrap this one up and do a little quick editing and get something out today, which would be lovely. And then, you know, we're supposed to get more weather tonight, so I probably will have a snow day tomorrow, which will probably mean no videos, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get lucky and get an opportunity to do another one tonight. I don't know. All right, so this is what I'm going to get into. When the German Confederation had been founded in 1815, some states had been anxious to prove that they had a small population in order to contribute fewer soldiers to the army. And they talk about how the wars were the big cause for the German migration, right? Let's see. Let me read this a little bit further, right? Oh, God, Jesus, Zollabrechnungsbrechflockergerung. Sorry if I got anybody in Germany. That is one long word. What does it mean? The custom accounting population? Is that what that's supposed to? Is that the translation of that? So the conducted population counts from 1834 to 1867 every 3 years on the 3rd of December. Interesting date there. So they do it, right? 1834, we have population of 23 million, and they show, you know, how Germany was annexing land, right? Because this is kilometers squared, right? In this 3 years, they annexed 19,000 square kilometers, and that held for a few years, and they annexed, another 8,000 kilometers, square kilometers. But the population always is going up and up, right? They annex these lands, but at this time, they tell us that 4 million, because they say an equal number of Germans came over as Irish, right? And the Irish, we know, was the peak population in the early 1800s was 8 million something, right? So more than 4 million Irish came over. So more than 4 million Germans came over. When did they come? Right? Because the populations just keep going up, right? And I know, and then, they're still annexing land here, but is there, let's do a little quick math from 18, when did they get this one? So from 1840, all right, at 439 to 1867, 510, so that's not that, it's 80,000 square kilometers. So in 80,000 square kilometers, are they gaining, 2 million with every square, with every bump there, because the number just never goes down. It never reflects that in any significant way. And again, people are dying, people are being born, and so forth, but just curious the way this plays out before my eyes. The way I look at it, the numbers are always going up. And, so where's this immigration happening? Maybe it was never happening because it was people being shipped from Baltimore, so one of the things I wanted, bringing this back, because I was going to look at the map and close this out. So, and I'm going to close it out now, because that's the general crux of the theory, right? They were breeding huge chunks of population and then shipping them out to the areas where they needed these immigrations to happen, right? Welcome to Baltimore. Get right on your orphan train, right from here to wherever you need to go. Or, they ship them here, or they troll them on up to, or train them on up to Mount Clair Station. And that's where they get on their orphan trains and head out, right? Because that's the first commuter rails were coming out of there anyway, right? So, yeah, ship them in, ship them out, whatever. Raise them, this is the German quarter. Over here is where they raise the Irish ones. They raise the Polish ones over here, and then they, ship them out. So this is how I know that these are warehouses, right? And this is the map of the city of Baltimore, 1877, right? And it lets me get kind of close in detail. Here's Camden Yards in 1877. That's the best without fussing it out too much. All right, look at the size of the warehouse, 1877. All right, and now, okay, so now let's look at see if we can find any construction photos. At one time, I did look this up and did get photos. But the interesting thing was when I was disappointed because I'd been thinking about this idea of Camden Yards as like a giant like capacitor or whatever is part of the big computer chipboard that was Baltimore City. And I mean, look at it. I mean, what a shot that is. The size of it is huge. That's for the stadium, for the ballpark rather. And so I searched construction photos, and some did come up, and was disappointing because I was hoping it was a building that was there forever and was going to, but, the more I look at these old photos and the more, I watch other creators and they point out how, these old photos, it's easy, it's not that difficult to think that they could have been doctored in certain ways, or that they're actually not photos of construction, but reconstruction. So I'm not finding any here. I'm going to go quickly. If you can hear my timer going off there, it's time for me to go. Wrap this one up. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's part of my theory. That's part of the all right, let's do the ending again. Okay. Cut. Action. So I'm going to wrap this one up, and I wanted to put that presentation out there. It's not the way I really wanted to do it. I was hoping to form, but I feel like my hand was kind of forced, as I mentioned earlier, and so I'm glad I did it. I had a lot of fun with it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. There's going to be more coming. I loved so much of the information I got from my Walking Delusional video, and I'm going to do more follow-up on the Baltimore Trust building and everybody's comments, and that's going to be a lot of fun too. So hope everybody liked this one. Have a great day. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and until the next one, cheers, guys. Okay, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is. I hope it's good to be where you are, because it is certainly good to be here. My name is Baltimore Fats, and this is Mud City. That cut off a little bit. I hate when I don't nail it. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today. I'm going to talk about a theory that I've had for, well, pretty much since the beginning of when I started to look into Baltimore and its possible connection to the mud flow. So I'm going to use the little Google Earth, but again, I wasn't going to I didn't put in a particular address. I just put in Baltimore, and just zooming in on it, I see these three things again. And so I think I'm going to do another like clickbait. I'm going to do like a flat Earth clickbait video around these pipes. I mean, what else can you call them, right? Tunnels, and how they connect to the other ponds. That'll be a fun one. I'll give you guys a better heads up when I do that one. And also one thing I wanted to point out is how grateful I am for the response that that last series, that Walking Delusional series got. So many insightful comments and so much help, and it started out as a response video for that, and but it kind of got really out of hand on me, so I'm changing tacks a little bit here. But there is going to be something coming. I am going to go over all of that stuff, and I'm going to go over some of it in this because it's pertinent to this video. And no, I do not want to look at Glen Burnie. What happened? I sent it back out. I love it. What happened? Are you... Okay. Now, I did not do that. Why did this bring me to Greece? If you've been paying attention, you know about all the stuff that I'm finding on top of the buildings and stuff, and the connections to Greek and Roman mythology and everything. That was crazy. I don't know how that happened. That's not what this video is supposed to be. I don't have any of that stuff brought up. That is all the stuff I had brought up when I tried to do a much longer one the other day. But it's funny that this came up, and it's going to come up in a major way very soon. But let's get back to Baltimore. How can I do this? You people are too good with your... Just keep bringing it back.